During the clashes between Israel and Iran in June 2025, numerous Iranian military figures and nuclear scientists were eliminated. The Iranian military leadership was almost entirely decimated. However, one man continues to escape death. A man who, despite his age, fragile health, and numerous enemies, remains at the top of Iranian power. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader. He is one of the most powerful, influential, and enigmatic men of the 21st century. For over 3 decades, he has shaped the destiny of a country of 90 million people and defied powers like the United States, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. His significance is such that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that killing him would end the conflict between Israel and Iran, clearly identifying him as the #1 target. But who is Ali Khamenei, really? In this video, you'll learn everything about the supreme leader of Iran who now faces the most critical moment of his reign. Ali Khamenei was born in 1939 in the city of Mashhad, in northeastern Iran, near the borders with Afghanistan and Turkmenistan. Mashhad is not just any city, it is one of the holiest sites in Shia Islam, where millions of pilgrims travel each year to visit the shrine of Imam Reza. It was in this deeply religious environment that young Ali grew up. His family was poor but devout. His father, Javad Khamenei, was a serious and austere cleric who taught Islamic jurisprudence. By the age of 18, Ali Khamenei was already studying what is known as Darz-e-Kharej, the highest level within the Islamic educational system. A kind of legal and religious doctorate that allows the scholar to issue their own interpretations of Islam. In 1957, he traveled to Iraq to study in Najaf, another important religious center. There he met great Shia scholars, but at his ailing father's request, he returned to Iran and settled in the city of Qom, where he became a disciple of figures such as Ayatollah Borojerdi, and above all, the man who would shape his destiny, Ruhollah Khomeini, who would become the first supreme leader of Iran and lead the Islamic Revolution. Ali Khamenei absorbed not only theology but also revolutionary religious ideas that clashed with the Shah's pro-Western regime, which ruled Iran with US backing. Inspired by Khomeini and other dissident clerics, Khamenei began distributing pamphlets, giving speeches in mosques and writing underground texts against the Shah, activities that were illegal and extremely dangerous. Between 1963 and 1979, Khamenei was arrested 6 times for his political activism. He passed through the prisons of Savak, the Shah's feared secret police, where he was interrogated, exiled, and constantly monitored. Each time he was released, he returned to his revolutionary activities. He spent years moving from city to city, often in disguise. Although not the most visible face of the anti-Shah movement, he was one of its most disciplined and trusted members, earning the absolute confidence of Ruhollah Khomeini. In 1979, everything erupted with the Islamic Revolution. After decades of growing discontent, the Iranian people took to the streets. Millions marched against the Shah in protests that quickly became unstoppable. It was a rapid, chaotic, and radical process. Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi fled the country, the army fractured, and Khomeini returned triumphantly from exile in Paris. In a matter of weeks, the oldest monarchy in the Middle East collapsed, and a new Shia Islamic regime was born. Following the revolution, Ruhollah Khomeini was named Supreme Leader of the new Islamic Republic of Iran. This was no symbolic title, it was essentially absolute power, somewhat akin to Kim Jong-un in North Korea, though with key differences. Under the revolutionary constitution, the supreme leader has total authority, control over the military, judiciary, state media, and the ability to veto any decision made by parliament or the president. Yes, Iran has a democratically elected president every 4 years, but it is the supreme leader who truly rules. Ali Khamenei, one of Khomeini's most loyal disciples, rose quickly from being a persecuted revolutionary to a powerful figure. He first became the official Friday prayer leader in Tehran and held key positions in defense, relations with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRGC), and religious leadership. This also made him a target for the regime's enemies. On June 27, 1981, while giving a talk at a mosque in Tehran, a tape recorder left on his desk exploded. It was the first known assassination attempt against him. Khamenei miraculously survived. He suffered lung and vocal cord damage and completely lost the use of his right arm. Since then, his voice has a raspy tone and he always shakes hands with his left. This attempt on his life only increased his popularity. Months later, following the assassination of then-President Mohammad Ali Rajai in a bombing, Khamenei was elected president with an overwhelming 97% of the vote. Though not the most charismatic figure, He was deeply trusted by the regime's inner circle. Khamenei served 2 consecutive presidential terms from 1981 to 1989. His presidency was marked by the brutal Iran-Iraq War, a bloody 8-year conflict involving chemical weapons, trench warfare, and hundreds of thousands of deaths. Saddam Hussein had launched the war in 1980, taking advantage of Iran's post-revolutionary chaos. As president, Khamenei took a hands-on role in defense strategy, military budgeting, logistics, and territory control, forging a close bond with the IRGC, a parallel military force created after the revolution to protect the Islamic system and report directly to the supreme leader. This alliance would prove crucial in years to come. In 1989, Supreme Leader Khomeini died, shaking the regime's stability. The original successor, Ayatollah Montazeri, had been sidelined due to political differences. He had even publicly condemned the mass execution of political prisoners in 1988, which put him at odds with the regime's hardliners. Seen as too soft for the role, Montazeri was replaced in a surprising move. The Assembly of Experts selected Khamenei as the new supreme leader. Initially, his appointment was considered temporary and controversial. Khamenei wasn't a grand ayatollah, nor did he meet the constitutional religious criteria for the role. But he had political power on his side. Within a week, the law was amended to grant him the necessary legitimacy. From that point on, Ali Khamenei became Iran's supreme leader, a position he still holds. Since then, he has been the central figure of the Iranian system, with direct power over justice, security, media, and foreign policy. Under his leadership, Iran consolidated a theocratic regime focused on maintaining stability, resisting Western influence, and expanding its regional power. One of his most significant moves was strengthening the IRGC, which remains fiercely loyal to him. Khamenei has been the architect of Iran's foreign policy. His deep mistrust of the United States and the West continues to shape Iran's strategy. Over the years, Iran has supported allied non-state actors in Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, and Yemen, and has taken a confrontational stance against the US and Israel through proxy wars. Beyond external threats, Khamenei has remained firm in asserting Iran's sovereignty and strategic relevance in the Middle East. One of his main obsessions has been the nuclear program, seen as a symbol of independence and a deterrent. He pursued it despite international sanctions and condemnation. Khamenei's personal life remains largely shrouded in mystery. Unlike other powerful figures, he reportedly lives modestly in line with his father's teachings. He resides in a heavily guarded compound in northern Tehran, protected by military units, surveillance systems, and elite security forces. His movements are highly restricted, and public appearances are meticulously coordinated, with routes sealed off and only the most loyal personnel involved. He is married and has 6 children. One of them, Mojtaba Khamenei, is considered highly influential within Iran's political and military apparatus, and is even seen by some as a possible successor, raising concerns that the regime could shift toward a hereditary model. Khamenei's health is a closely guarded secret. At 86, he has reduced public appearances but still delivers speeches on key religious and political dates, or during major crises such as the current conflict with Israel. During Operation True Promise 3, in June 2025, Israeli airstrikes killed several top Iranian military, intelligence, and scientific leaders, delivering a heavy blow to the regime. Although Khamenei survived and, according to state sources, is in a secure location, his power is weakened, and he is in his most vulnerable position since taking control. His reign seems to be nearing its end, or at least a radical turning point. Khamenei has rejected any notion of surrender, and declared that Iran will never bow to foreign pressure or abandon its nuclear program, at least not under his rule. Many experts view these as the final words of a stubborn, aging, and cornered leader whose time is running out. But considering his past and political resilience, one should never count Khamenei out, at least not until he's truly dead. All indications suggest that Israel's primary objective is to eliminate him. As Netanyahu has said, the most probable and operationally feasible scenario would be a precision airstrike on the bunker where the Ayatollah is hiding. Similar to what happened with Hezbollah's former leader Hassan Nasrallah. Ali Khamenei is 86 years old and likely hidden in an extremely fortified underground facility. But what will Iran's stance be now that the United States has bombed its nuclear sites? Is Khamenei still alive? What comes next? If he was killed in the attacks, who will take his place? His son Mojtaba Khamenei? Will the Islamic regime collapse? The answers remain uncertain. However, the risk of an attack involving weapons of mass destruction inside Israel or on US bases is more real than ever. The regime is wounded, but not dead. especially now as jihadist groups around the world view Iran not only as an arms supplier but also as the highest religious authority, and they have sworn vengeance. And now, the United States is fully in the war. With its strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, Washington has crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. Tehran's proxies, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, Shiite militias in Iraq and Syria, are no longer just armed groups. They are angry, they are motivated, and they are loyal. For decades, the Middle East has been a bombshell, rigged with alliances, religion, oil, and blood. But now, with the death of Iranian leaders, the crippling of its nuclear ambitions, and possibly the fall of its supreme leader, the detonator has been pressed. This is no longer just about Iran and Israel. This is the storm everyone feared. Because when Iran's proxies rise, when the followers of the supreme leader see martyrdom and revenge as sacred duties, the war will no longer have borders, and the whole region might finally explode. The question is no longer if, but when, and how far it will go. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.